Okay, and welcome everybody to the 3 tips to get and stay motivated in 2006. Welcome so much to this webinar. I'm so excited to have you to join in and listen to this webinar. This was actually created because I had a survey that I sent out over the holidays, and I had over 200 women that filled out the survey. And one of the things that they said was that they wanted more webinars. They wanted more opportunities to learn and get tips and things that are going to help them to be successful in reaching their health and fitness goals. So here, as we kick off 2016, I thought, why not create this awesome webinar to give you 3 simple tips to get and stay motivated in 2016. I am Allison Tibbs. I'm a healthy lifestyle coach and personal trainer. I've been doing this now for about 5 years, and I must say it's one of the things that I just love it. It's literally one of the best jobs, it's sad to even call it a job. It's one of the best things that I've ever had the privilege to be a part of. On top of being a healthy lifestyle coach and personal trainer, I'm also an international speaker and author. I do speak primarily on health, fitness, wellness, self-care, and taking care of yourself, making yourself a priority, but also about empowerment, motivation, inspiration. That's a big, big passion of mine, is just to inspire, motivate, and empower people. As a coach and personal trainer, I work with women who want to give up their excuses in order to look and feel like $1,000,000. And how I got into healthy lifestyle coaching and personal training and speaking and writing, it really came from my own experiences and my own journey of overcoming depression, low self-esteem, suicide, unhealthy habits. You name it, I pretty much went through it all. And along that journey of healing and along that journey of just getting myself back to where I needed to be, I found the healthiest and happiest version of myself. And now I feel like it's my duty to pay it forward. And that's why I love working with the people that I work with. The women that I work with are at a point in their life where, they've tried getting healthy, they've tried getting fit, they've tried doing a lot of different things, but they're just struggling. They need some additional accountability and support. They need some additional tools and resources to help them to reach their goals. And that's where I step in as a coach and a trainer, because I believe that we are all meant to live a life that's fulfilled and live a life where we are operating at our best and where we look and feel like $1,000,000. Because when that happens, it does something to your confidence. It makes you feel like you can take over the world. It makes you feel like you can do anything, whatever goals, whatever you have set for your life. When you're the healthiest and happiest version of yourself, I just truly believe that anything is possible. And that's where I really find my passion of working with people in that. Now, one of the biggest challenges or struggles that most of my clients, struggle with is motivation. And that's why I was so excited about putting this webinar together, because I want to share with you some things that I share and that I work with my one-on-one clients when we get together and when we first start. Because I like to understand and know, how is it if we're going to work together, and I know that your biggest challenge is being unmotivated to work out, to eat healthy, and take better care of yourself, then I need to understand, how can we put things in place now that are going to help you to move past that level where you get unmotivated. I mean, we've all been there before. We start off the new year ready and excited for the brand new year. We set these goals, and most of us, or a good chunk of people, every year set a goal or a resolution or whatever to do something that revolves around health, fitness, wellness, or self-care, which I think is amazing. And I think that everyone should always try to figure out, how can I be better? How can I improve my physical self? Okay, I'm always thinking about that. And I always encourage my clients to do the same, because once you reach one goal, then, what's the next goal? What's the next thing you're going to do to improve your life? And it's not about being perfect or being this perfect weight or perfect figure, but it's just about being, again, the healthiest and happiest version of yourself. And, you start the new year all excited and ready to go with these goals or these resolutions or these things that you want to do. And then about 2-3 weeks in, you're no longer doing the things that you set out to do at the very beginning. And then the whole year goes by, you push those goals to the back burner, and you're no longer where you want to be. And in some cases, you're in an even worse situation because now life has taken over and things have gotten in the way. And I understand this. We've all been there. And one thing that I want to challenge you with when thinking about this, if this is you, if this has been you year after year after year, then chances are there's something that you haven't really dealt with to break through this challenge. And this is something that I do with all of my clients. I ask them, what's your excuse? The reason why I ask this question is because there is a reason that you didn't continue on being motivated or staying consistent with your health, fitness, wellness, self-care goals, or any goal for that matter. And I really challenge my clients to identify their excuses first. So this isn't even one of the tips. This is just something, a pre-tip. Let's call it that. And I want you to think about this, and you can apply it to any goals that you've set, okay? Because we all have excuses. We all have our reasons for why we do or don't do what we're supposed to do when it comes to our goals. And I want you to understand, as a coach, as a trainer, I'm not always going to be there to say, okay, you're doing great, everything's perfect, when there are some issues that need to be addressed. And in this situation, your excuses, whether they're right or wrong, they are definitely your reality. Okay, and if you look at this little chart, this graph here, I'm sure you've said one of these excuses at least once in your life. And with that, okay, with these excuses and these different things, one thing to really understand is it's your reality. It's real to you, and that's why you don't do it. But my goal and my role as a coach is to make sure that as you're going through these and as you're doing these things, most importantly, that I help you to figure out how to move past your excuses, because that's where your results come. You can't make excuses and expect to get results. And that's something that I want you to really understand about, your experiences and what you're doing with your goals. Because the second that you figure out what is it that keeps me from pushing forward, I'm better able to then sit down with you and break down and say, okay, if this is something that's an excuse for you, I want to sit down and carve out a strategy, a plan that's going to help you to move past it. And as your coach, hold you accountable to it as well. So that way you don't have to fall back on old habits or unhealthy habits that are keeping you there. So if you're watching this webinar and you have an opportunity to pause, take some time and pause and write down every single one of your excuses that you're giving yourself. And really, just get very clear about it. Because the clearer you are about all the things that could be hindering you from being successful, the easier it will be for us to decide how to help you move forward and give you a plan and a strategy to it. And you can apply this to any other goal or anything else that you've set for yourself. So if you have financial goals, personal goals, professional goals, I've done this with every single goal that I've set. And this has been a game changer for me. And hopefully, if you get nothing from this webinar, this small exercise can help give you a little bit more clarity on how to move forward. So before I get into my 3 tips, I wanted to share with you a little bit about how I kind of not really develop, because they're, like I said, they're simple tips. They're things that are easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. But I'll tell you and share with you how I actually got to that point of implementing these 3 tips, and how I've had so many of my clients and my group coaching participants to be successful in reaching their goals and staying motivated and consistent throughout the year by, these 3 tips. And that's really coming from me. Is I was a person, my biggest mistake along my journey was that I proudly wore an S on my chest thinking that I was Superwoman. I was very, very happy to say that I was a multi-entrepreneur. I was an author. I was a speaker. I sat on different boards for nonprofits. I had all these different projects. I did community service. I was heavily involved with my church. I was in a relationship which I had no business being in. That was a huge stress point, but I was trying to be the best in that relationship. I had, my funds going all different places, trying to support different products or projects and activities and things like that. And eventually that S on my chest that I was wearing so proudly soon became something that S began to stand for stressed out and sick and tired. I was at a point in my life where I was wearing so many different hats, doing so many different things, having so many different roles and responsibilities that it really caused me to put everything else before my own needs, which was taking care of my health and my wellness and my fitness and really taking care of me. And, mainly because I felt guilty. I felt that I didn't have time to focus on myself. I needed to pour everything I could into my business, my relationships, my projects, my speaking. I was writing a book at the time. I was doing all these different things. And eventually it led me to, not having time to work out. I was working, crazy hours. I was up late at night, waking up early. I was running around all over the place, flying for different states, speaking and running workshops. I was working with the editor for my book and, trying to make time for my relationships and my friendships and my family. And, didn't have time to work out, didn't have time to eat properly, didn't have time to drink enough water, didn't have time to take personal time for myself, just to gather my thoughts and to center myself. Eventually I didn't even have the proper time within my journaling and prayer time and meditation and all these things that are really important to me. I just kind of let them fall to the wayside, and I became stressed out. I got hit with another serious bout of depression where I had 2 failed suicide attempts. I was in and out of doctors because my joints were swollen and achy. They didn't know if it was gout. They didn't know if it was, rheumatoid arthritis. I had all of these, lesions all over my body. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know if it was, some type of skin infection or whatever. I had these, stomach pains, anxiety problems. I was, getting headaches. I was just a mess. And I remember going to a doctor, and the doctor said, Allison, if you don't take care of yourself, your body's going to shut down. And it was interesting because it was the first time that someone had really shown me the importance of me being healthy and viable and capable and strong and clear-headed and able-bodied and able to do the things that I wanted to do. The reality was, if my body shut down and I was diseased and sick in bed, then my businesses weren't running, which meant that now financially I can't provide for myself and for the goals that I have set for myself. I can't go around speaking. I can't be a part of the different boards I was a part of. I can't be heavily involved in my church. I can't show up present and focused and happy and attentive in my relationships. There are so many things that were tied to my health and my fitness and my wellness and my self-care, but I had it backwards. I felt so guilty whenever I took time for myself or whenever I said no to someone. And that was my biggest mistake. And that moment in that doctor's office, it all made sense to me that if I didn't make changes in my diet, in my fitness, in my well-being, and my self-care, every other area in my life would suffer. And that's when it all kind of changed. And the breakthrough for me was that me time. And this is the second thing, I want you to really take from this, if you get nothing else from it. First, understanding what your excuses are so that way they can't be used against you. And 2 is making yourself a priority. That's the biggest thing that I think that many of my clients struggle with, that they take for granted, is the importance of me time. And whatever you do in your me time, it's whatever it's going to help you to get back to that healthiest, happiest version of yourself. And for me, I look at my morning time where I'm journaling, reading the Bible, meditating, praying, just spending time with myself just to get my mental, emotional, and spiritual aspect in place. But I also look at my workouts, and I look at my, time prepping my food for the week and making sure that I'm eating foods that are going to nourish my body and doing activities that are going to make sure that my body is being healed and healthy and strong and capable. Because if I don't carve out that time for myself to make those things a priority in my life, then I wouldn't even be here right now doing this webinar, because I'd be so stressed out and not being able to do this. So even in that, you don't get to benefit from something that I believe is a gift that I've been given, as a passion I've been given to pay it forward. If I were so stressed out and not really focused on doing what I needed to do for myself, to be the best healthy lifestyle coach, the best personal trainer, the best speaker, author, the best whatever it is that's going to help and be beneficial and make the biggest impact in your life and the lives of other people that I've been called to coach and work with. And that was the biggest breakthrough. And within that, when I was going through this process of me time, I spent a lot of time looking at, okay, what's next? How am I going to utilize this time to get back to being healthy and on track and to stay consistent and to stay motivated? And that's where these 3 tips came from that I'm going to share with you right now. So the first tip is to identify your why and establish your goals. So one thing when it comes to motivation, I love this quote here. It says, when you feel like quitting, think about why you started. And this is something that has been a huge, huge help for myself, my clients, my online coaching group participants, is when we take the time to identify your why. Now, you want to be very clear on why you want to be healthier, why you want to change your life, why you are, the simple fact that you're watching this webinar means that you are focused on changing your life and doing some things differently. But what I want to know is why. Why is this important to you? Understand, how will your life change by you making this decision to be healthier, to do whatever it is that you've put in your mind to do for this new year? And then you want to create the vision that you want for your life. What's the life that you want? Getting very, very clear in those things. I think that's something that we tend to not really do. I had a friend once who was, she was diagnosed with cancer. And we were talking for a while. And one day we just kind of just been talking back and forth. And I was just trying to keep her motivated and positive about different things. And she said something to me. She says, Allison, ever since I've been diagnosed with cancer, I haven't really been able to dream. I haven't been able to really focus or to think beyond my current situation. And I spent a lot of time with her working on her why and the vision for her life, because I wanted her to have something to fight for, something to keep her pushing on the days when she didn't have it in her to fight. When she didn't have it in her to move on another day, I wanted her to be very clear about what was on the other end of that journey, of that small space in her life where she had to go through something. I wanted her to see the end in mind, and it gave her that extra push. And let me tell you something, guys, she is a fighter and she's still fighting to this day. And it's amazing to see how her mood, how her perspective on life has changed, because now she has very clear vision and she's very clear on her why. And why she sticks with it. And she never gives up anymore. She never feels like the need to give up because she knows what she wants. And I challenge you to do the exact same thing. Think about your why. And once you have it, then really make it very clear. And it's the same thing for your goals. Be very specific, measurable, and realistic. We talk about SMART goals all the time, but I like to cut straight to the chase. I want my goals to be specific, measurable, and realistic. Specific and measurable. I want to know, what exactly is it that you want to accomplish? What exactly is it that you want to achieve? When do you want to achieve it by? I want some quantifiable dates, times, measurements, pounds, how many days a week, how many weeks a month. Be very, very clear, because the more specific and measurable you are with your goals, the easier it is for you to understand what it's going to take to move forward. And then realistic, okay? Especially when it comes to health and fitness and wellness and self-care, is I hear some goals sometimes and I'm like, that's just unrealistic, or it's super unhealthy. I've heard people say they want to lose 50 pounds in, 2 weeks. And it's like, is it possible? Maybe, but is it going to be healthy? Doubtfully. Is it going to wreck your central nervous system, cause you to be an emotional wreck and probably damage and harm your body? Most likely. So when you're setting your goals, especially on health and wellness, fitness, and self-care, make sure that your goals are goals that are realistic. We want them to be challenging, but we also want to make sure that you set goals that you will be motivated to push for. Because a lot of times I see people, they set these goals that are so far-fetched that it looks so difficult and so far away that they give up before they even start, because it seems so unrealistic in the first place. You want your goals to be challenging, but you also want them to be something that it's outside of your comfort zone, but not completely on the other side where if you can't reach it in a reasonable time, then you give up or you get frustrated. Once you have your goals and your why, I want you to write them down. Something magical happens when pen goes to paper and you write out your goals. And, that's something that I found to be just mind-blowing was when I get my challengers or my clients or my online group coaching participants to write down their goals and to share them, whether in the group or with me. And have them write them down. It just makes those goals real. It makes those goals something that's it's like a declaration. You're declaring to yourself, to the universe, to whatever, that this is what you are setting out. You are setting your intention for what you're going to accomplish. And I say take it one step further. Read them daily. This is something that I've started doing. One of my mentors said this years ago to me. And I heard him and he told me to do it and I didn't do it. And certain goals I didn't reach. And I actually kind of I eventually forgot about them because they weren't in the forefront of my mind. There weren't things that I was constantly thinking about and motivating myself to keep pushing towards them. And, so I started the next year when I did my goals, I would read my goals every single morning and every single night. Now, when you do this, what it does is it kind of ingrains it into your brain, into your psyche, into your thought process, and you begin to really make those goals a part of who you are. And that's the thing about goals. Some people are unmotivated because they have these goals that aren't motivating to go after because they haven't really made them real. And so you should do that with your goals. It's a definite great way for you to push through with your goals. So with your why and your goals, get clear, get specific, get measurable, get realistic, write them down, then read them daily. And, this is a great thing that you can do with anything. And if you're struggling with your goals, there's something that I do with my clients. It's a 10-step goal setting worksheet that I have them do before we work together, because it allows me to make sure they're really thinking through how to set goals properly. And it's a total game changer. So if that's something you're interested in, at the end of this webinar, I'm actually going to share with you how you can get your hands on that 10, it's actually 10 questions. It's a workbook actually that I send you, but it's 10 questions that you work through and it's game changing. I mean, you will love it. So next, let's talk about tip 2, and that's to make a plan, work the plan consistently. So this tip is a 3-part tip. And one thing you have to understand is what you do every day matters more than what you do every once in a while. And this is where I see people tend to get tripped up when it comes to staying motivated throughout the year, is that they don't have a plan, or if they do create a plan, they don't work the plan. And if they've made a plan and they have it, they're only working it whenever they feel like it. They're not doing it consistently. And one thing that you have to understand is consistency yields success. I tell this to every single one of my clients. If you want to get results, you have to be consistent, period. When it comes to weight loss, okay, I'll be very clear. If you want to lose weight, for the most part, all it really requires you to do is move your body, eat healthy, and get some rest. Take care of yourself, basically, those 3 things. But if you are only occasionally working out, but you have a goal of losing 15 pounds in 2 months, but you're only working out every now and then, and you wake up and you don't want to work out today, so you say you'll do it tomorrow, and then you say you're going to eat healthy, but you make up an excuse and you decide to eat out every day instead of making and prepping your own meals, and whatever the case may be, you can't expect to get results. And you have no one else to really be frustrated with but yourself, because you know what you have to do, and that's making a plan. So the first thing I do when I work with my clients is after they give me their goals, we actually sit down and we break down their goals into tasks. We figure out what needs to be done on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and even a quarterly basis. And if you've never broken your goals down like this, then you are missing a huge part of staying consistent with your goals. Because sometimes the issue is we set these awesome goals, we're fired up about them, and then day 1 starts and we're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I should be doing. And then you either procrastinate or you do the things that shouldn't be prioritized first, and then you're out of time and you can't do the most important things. So this is something that I love to do with my clients and my online coaching participants, because I think that it's something that's so critical in staying consistent. And once you break down your goals into the different tasks, you have to figure out a way to track your progress. This is something that a lot of people find very beneficial because it holds you accountable first and foremost. When you can, I'm a big to-do list person. I love, and I'm like an old school to-do list person. One of my very first managers, she would have me create like check boxes and then write out my to-do list for the day. And there's something so satisfying about checking off that box. And it's funny, my assistant does the exact same thing. And she jokes and says, even if if I've already done something that wasn't on my list, I'll put it on my list so I can just check it off. Because there's something about feeling accountable to the activities that you're doing and to track your progress. And there are many different ways to track your progress. There's not one right or wrong way. When it comes to health and fitness, I like wearables like a Fitbit or a Jawbone or the Apple Watches that are out now, or all the different types of devices that you can wear that track your steps, that track your water, that track your sleep, that track your food with, MyFitnessPal or other online, food trackers. These are two things when it comes to health, fitness, nutrition that I love and that I recommend people to find one that works for you because it's just helpful. It just truly holds you accountable when you have to physically see what you're doing on a daily basis. And a lot of these tools too, they're really great because they give you, badges or awards for, checking in consistently or getting your steps for the day or drinking your water or reaching your goals. So if you're goal oriented, it kind of motivates you to keep going. So figure out how to develop a way to track your progress. And if you don't like technology or whatever, that's fine. Why not get like just a journal and just write down what you're eating every day, or, keeping track of how much water you're drinking or how many hours a day that you're sleeping. Whatever it is, just figure out a system that's going to work best for you. There's no right or wrong way. It's just the fact that you track it. Tracking is going to be key. And this is something that I found. I actually remember reading this when I read T. Harv Eker's Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. And he talked about, if you want to have, more prosperity and abundance in your life, to track how much, take a week and track how much money you're spending, because it makes you aware of what you're doing. Sometimes we're just not aware of what we're doing. And that kind of holds us off track. So if your goal is to take 10,000 steps a day, drink 8 glasses of water, and to eat a healthy breakfast every single day for the month of January, then track all of that stuff and then review it. And something that I also love too with the plan is the consistency part, because if you do something consistency, then you should be rewarded for that. Now, granted, yes, you have some very intrinsic rewards that you'll get from you'll be healthier, you'll be happier, you'll sleep better, you'll have more energy, you'll look better in your clothes, you'll have more confidence. So many great things will happen, right? But sometimes you have to just kind of reward yourself a little bit. So think about what can you do to reward yourself. And a lot of times that I've done with my clients is when, we'll talk about the rewards, and every now and then they'll do something great and I'll know what they want as a reward. Like one of the girls says, I will reward myself, if I can drink, my daily, ounces of water per day for the week. On Saturday, she would reward herself with, she would go out and go to Starbucks or to a coffee shop. So she broke through a really great goal, and I sent her a Starbucks gift card. And, and I said, hey, go and you had a great week this week, knock yourself out and, get yourself that Starbucks, because she's been on it so much that I want to reward her with that Starbucks. And she wasn't even getting anything, crazy. It's just the fact of going to a Starbucks, getting that cup and having someone, it was a whole experience for her. And she cut that out because she wanted to stay focused. So once a week, if she stayed on track, she did it. And it motivated her to get her going forward. I had a client do the same thing, but her reward was on Friday nights, if she worked out every single day and got her 10,000 steps, she would, on Friday nights, she would take a bath and drink 1 glass of wine while she's taking the bath. So I sent her a really cool bottle of wine. I live in Northern California. So I sent her a bottle of wine just to say, job well done. This, and actually it was for the week. I got a really expensive bottle of wine. And it just is something just to kind of keep you motivated, guys. All these things that I'm sharing are simply just to help you to get more focused and motivated to reach your goals. So there's tip number 2, make a plan, work the plan, and do it consistently. And here's my 3rd tip. And this is a big one. And this is something that this is actually why I do what I do, because The first few tips are pretty much, the very beginning process, and kind of the maintenance. But if you really want to stay motivated in 2016 to reach your goals, you have to create an accountability system or environment. And one thing to understand is that you will reap the best results when you have you're in an environment with people who have similar or complementary goals as you. This is something that I found to be the biggest success factor that I've had with all of my clients, whether we work one-on-one together or whether they're part of my online coaching groups. Every time that I've implemented a secure, stable accountability system for them, they have just crushed their goals and stayed consistent. I've had people that over a course of a year have lost over 100 pounds, 75 pounds, 50 pounds. And the number one thing they'll say why they've done it is because they had someone holding them accountable. That's why I love this picture here, because it's not easy to do this on your own. Sometimes you need that extra push or that extra pull to move you forward, to stay focused when you feel like giving up. And, accountability improves due to this me too factor. Okay. And I love the me too factor, because pretty much all it is that if you're in a situation, if you're in an environment where other people have similar goals as you, and they're all working towards a similar goal of being healthier, happier, getting in better shape, getting, more control of their eating, their diet, nutrition, their fitness, all of that stuff, then when you see them posting their results, posting what they did for the day, posting their meals and different things like that, it will motivate you to say, I want to do that as well. Me too. I want to have that same sense of pride and that sense of accomplishment that this person had in the group, or that these 5 people did. So it will make you be accountable, posting your stuff, sharing your experiences, sharing what you ate for the day, sharing your workout, sharing your big victory for the day. And, we often will stick to something out of fear of letting someone else down. And that's what I love about coaching, because when I have we have our personal training sessions, or if we have our one-on-one coaching, phone coaching sessions or face-to-face coaching sessions, or our weekly calls in my online coaching groups, you will feel this need or this desire to stay committed, to stay focused, because you don't want to let me down, or you don't want to let your group down. In my groups, we also give people accountability partners. And that's something that's really cool too, because then it allows you to you're more likely to stick to your plan and reach your goals, because you have to show up. You have to show up. You have to participate in the calls, participate in the group, participate in our session. I'm going to ask you what's going on. Did you do what you had to do? If it's on Fitbit or Jawbone or MyFitnessPal, I can see what you're tracking. I can see what you're doing. I'll ask for you to send me a picture of that. You will work with your accountability partner to say, hey, this was my check-in for the day. Or if you're in the online coaching group, every day you're checking in with your workouts and your meals. So this has been the game changer. When I started working with clients at first, I didn't have that component. And it was a struggle. It was like pulling teeth, because eventually there was just this lack of commitment. But when you have a system or an environment for accountability, things begin to change, because you have to show up. You want to make sure that you're not letting your team down. You want that me too factor. And when you are surrounding yourself with people with similar goals or complementary goals, it makes a firm foundation to build upon to be successful with reaching your goals. So choose a partner, choose a coach, be a part of a group, do something that's going to hold you accountable. I guarantee if you've done tip 1 and 2, but you still haven't reached your goals, this is the reason why you have not. It's because you didn't have your accountability system, accountability partner. You didn't have a coach, a trainer, or an environment that was going to hold you accountable to keep you motivated. So those are my 3 tips for you. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the end result of you staying motivated this year and making the decision to use these tips to help you to stay consistent and motivated, it's going to result in a healthier, happier, and more fulfilled you. This is the biggest joy that I get, is when I start working with someone, or I put a new group together, and I hear in their voice how frustrated they are with where they currently are in their life, and then to finish a group or to finish a session or to finish a few months together, and to see that you've developed habits, that you are just in this great space. And the cool thing about it is that, yes, you're healthier, you feel better about yourself, you're happier, everything is great, but that you now have this confidence in all these other areas of your lives. I've had clients who've told me that now, when they first came to me, one of their biggest whys was that they wanted to feel sexy again and to increase intimacy in their marriage because they were so unhappy with their body. They were unhealthy. They just didn't feel good about themselves. And for working with me for, 3 months, they'd been able to not only just, get healthier, but they felt better about their bodies. They were now doing, going on walks together with their spouses and, cooking together and spending more quality time together. And they were both getting healthy. They're both getting, fit, and, intimacy shot through the roof in that marriage. I had other people who said that they, wanted the confidence just to go after that dream job they had, but they didn't feel that they could really do it. And after, really working on their bodies and working on the mental aspect and just getting stronger and being consistent and crushing goal after goal after goal, they felt confident to go after a bigger goal. And, I have some clients who quit that have been in, jobs they didn't like. They quit their job and did something new. And, I have a client now who's and she quit her job in finance, and now she's in cooking school, and she graduates, I think, in about a month or two. And, she's had these amazing experiences, and now she's doing what she loves. I've had, clients who, say, listen, I want to just wear a bikini for the first time in my life. My whole life, I've been too ashamed to wear a bikini. And the cool thing is when I have a woman in her 50s wearing a bikini for the first time and looking fabulous, that does wonders for a person. It gives them confidence in other areas of their life, and you're able to show up, being able to spend more time with your family, your children, because you have more energy now, you're more present, being able to do things, being able to travel now because you're saving money because you're eating more at home instead of eating junk food when you're out. Guys, I'm telling you that if you can get your health and your fitness, your wellness and self-care under control and set some goals and stay motivated, I promise you, the energy that you create in this realm of your life will trickle down into other areas, and you will see an elevation in every area, in every aspect of your life. And that's what I love about being a healthy lifestyle coach, that it's not about a number on the scale all the time. It's not about fitting into a size 2, but it's a grander scheme of things, guys. It's going back to that why and how your life will change and where you can be a year from now. This time next year, where do you want to be? And I want you to understand that I would love to partner with you to help you with that. I mean, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer. This is what I love to do. Working with people is what I love. And so that's why I want to invite you to my 2016 KickStart Challenge. Now, this is something that I'm doing that's a little bit different than I've been doing in the past. And it's really formulated especially for the beginning of the year, where it's a 4-week online coaching program with weekly group coaching calls. So in that 4 weeks, we're going to focus on goals, overcoming obstacles, staying motivated, and making you a priority. We're going to set the intention for this year and really give you the tools, the resources, and things that you're going to need to stay on track, not just for the month or the beginning of the year, but to help you develop the habits to stay focused for the rest of the year. Also, I'm going to throw in 4 weeks of meal plans, recipes, and grocery lists. Because sometimes you just, this is something that a lot of my clients, they ask for and they struggle with. And I'm like, you know what? This is something that I enjoy. One of my biggest things, I love food. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere on social media, I'm always, showing different recipes and meal plans and grocery lists and different tips about that. So you'll also get four weeks worth. Whether you use them now or later, they're just things that have been really helpful for me, that I've been able to get my clients to drop some weight, get healthy, get some new ideas, kind of take the confusion out of it and make it simple for you. All my recipes, they're tasty, guys. They're delicious. They're simple to make. You can make them for yourself. You can do it as meal prepping. I mean, it just really breaks everything down. You'll also get daily email coaching tips, tools, and resources from me that are going to help you to stay on track with things that have been really helpful for me. Apps that I use, programs that I use, videos that have been really helpful, tools, tips, different things, questions that I ask that will really help you to stay focused. You'll also get access to a private Facebook accountability group. This is where all the participants will be able to check in daily with their meals, with their workouts, ask me questions. I'll be a part of this group every single day. So if you need access to me, this is where I will be in that group with you through the duration of those 4 weeks. So it's really an opportunity, not just with the weekly online calls, but also in the group daily interaction, not just with myself, but with amazing women who are on the same boat as you, similar goals, looking just to push through and just to stay motivated in 2016. You'll also get an assigned accountability success partner. We talked about this. Success, this accountability group and the success partner are going to be the two things that will really make the difference in your success. So we'll do that as well. And, you'll be partnered up with a partner based off of the goals that you share with me. So that's how we'll do it. So that way you'll be able to really work well together. And then you'll also get some special bonuses and prizes. I love doing little challenges and little gifts and things like that. So to just reward people for just taking action and being awesome and just staying committed. So that is the 2016 KickStart Challenge. If you are up for the challenge, you can join this group. We are going to start January 10th. That's when the group will be formulated. And you'll be put in the group, and then we'll do some pre-work for the group, and then we'll officially kick off that Monday. But for the week leading up to it, that's when I'll be scheduling and setting up one-on-one calls with every single person. So this group is normally $97. For $47, you can be a part of this group. Guys, this is an investment in your health, but it's a small one that's totally worth it because you deserve it. And, one thing that I like to tell people is that, when you make this commitment to be a part of this group, I know what you're investing, what you're giving me, and I give you that 110% back to you in my coaching, in the groups, and the content that I'm giving you to make sure that you stay committed and that you make 2016 a different year. So if you want to be a part of that group, all you have to do is visit tinyurl.com, Jan 2016 KickStart. That's the link. You can click it. You can join the group. Once you join the group, you'll actually be added immediately to the Facebook group. We already have some things going in there, but we won't officially kick off until that Sunday. But you can start to meet people in the group, get to know, introduce yourself, and all that fun stuff. There are some special bonuses. So I mentioned there's a one-on-one kickoff call. So I'll be doing that with every single person who joins this in particular group. We'll have one call together where we're going to, just talk about your goals. We're going to work through some different things and just kind of answer any questions that you may have for the actual challenge. Also, what I'm going to do is give you that goal-setting e-workbook that I talked about with those 10 questions. That workbook's going to be great, and it'll be awesome if you could do that workbook before our call, because in that way, we will be able to have more time working on how to make a plan based off of your goals. So this is definitely something I told you, my clients love this thing. It's a great, great tool for them, and it's a great way for you to get focused on your goals for the year. And then also, I am working on now a Meal Prep Like a Boss e-cookbook. I'm super excited about this. This cookbook is one that I've been putting together all my recipes that I've used when I meal prep. It's, we'll talk more about that in the group, but it's a cookbook with some of my favorite recipes that you will have access to. And, it's awesome. I've already kind of had some people beta test it, and I've been getting great feedback, and I would love for you to do the exact same thing. And I would love to feature you and your experiences with the e-cookbook. So that's another kind of added perk there for being a part of this January group before I officially launch the ebook in this quarter. So there you have it. This is definitely something that I'm so excited about this group. It's a group that I feel is going to be just amazing. And if you are, really at a point in your life where you're ready just to kind of get it going and to join in, then I invite you to join me in my January 2016 KickStart Challenge group. Again, you can go to the link, tinyurl.com/Jan2016 KickStart. Once you go there, you'll simply just, fill out the form, you pay the $47, and you're a part of the Facebook group, and then I'll see you in the group. My assistant Sarah will then reach out to you to set up a time for us to call. Then we'll get on the phone. It'll be either on the phone or video chat, because I'd love to see your beautiful face, and then we'll just work through that. So hopefully you are excited about making 2016 a great year, and hopefully you found these tips to be helpful, and you found this webinar to be one that gave you a lot of tips that are going to help you to be successful. If you have any questions, you can contact me directly. You can contact me on Facebook. But hopefully, I will see you in this group, because I'm looking to see you reach great goals and make 2016 the year where you become the healthiest and happiest version of yourself. So thanks so much for watching and listening, and feel free to share this webinar with anyone that you feel would love to hear this information, that needs this information. And hopefully I will see you in the group. Thanks so much for watching, and have a happy and healthy 2016.